At the turn of the century, sport utility vehicles or SUVs still occupied a relatively small niche in the global car industry. 21 years on, only highly specialized manufacturers such as McLaren and Koenigsegg can get away without having at least one SUV in their ranges. In this video, we are going to see which manufacturers have been in the SUV business for decades and which have recently been forced into it due to customer demand. Researching this subject is complicated by the fact that there is no single, universally agreed definition of an SUV. Here then are the first SUVs produced by manufacturers, listed in alphabetical order. Acura MDX. The first SUV marketed by Honda's luxury brand was in fact the SLX. But this was simply a rebadged second-generation Isuzu Trooper, which seems unsatisfying. Acura made its proper SUV debut in 2000 with the launch of the MDX, which was closely related to the Honda Pilot and shared a platform with several other Honda models. The fourth-generation MDX went into production in January 2021 and almost immediately became the best-selling premium three-row crossover in the United States. Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Alfa Romeo is one of many manufacturers of this list who would not have been suspected of venturing into SUV territory in the recent past. In fact, Alfa produced the Jeep-like Mata in the early 1950s, but only in very small numbers and mostly for military use. The Stelvio is a true crossover SUV in the modern sense and has been built in large numbers since 2016. The quadrifoglio version is one of the fastest SUVs in the world, with a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6 engine which produces slightly more than 500 bhp. Aston Martin DBX. Never a company to rush into scenes with unseemly haste. Aston Martin left a gap of well over a century between building its first car and entering the SUV market. The DBX is one of the very small number of road vehicles ever to have been built in Wales. It is also even more powerful than the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, with a maximum output of 542 bhp from its 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine, which is supplied by Mercedes-Benz. In 2021, the DBX became the official medical car for all rounds of the F1 World Championship. Audi Q7. The Audi Q7 is closely related to the Porsche Cayenne and Volkswagen Touareg, but went into production 3 years later, towards the end of 2005. From 2008 to 2012, it was available with a 6-liter V12 TDI turbo diesel, which produced just under 500 bhp. This engine has never been fitted to any other production car. Now well into its second generation, the Q7 was the first Audi SUV and the largest by some margin until the launch of the similarly sized Audi Q8 in 2018. Bentley Bentayga. The Bentayga made its public debut at the 2012 Geneva show in the form of the EXP9F concept. For the production version, Bentley considerably toned down the styling, which has been greeted with dismay in some quarters. The Bentayga was unveiled in Frankfurt in 2015 and went into production a few months later. The available engines included V8 and W12 petrol units and V8 diesel, all twin turbocharged. A hybrid version with 3-liter single-turbo V6 engine went on sale in 2018. BMW X5. Among the late adopters, BMW has been in the SUV game for a relatively long time. The first generation X5 of 4 to date made its debut in 1999. Several high-performance models have been developed since then. All of them have been named X5M. Every generation of X5 has been built at the BMW Spartanburg plant in Greer, South Carolina, so other facilities around the world have also been used. Spartanburg is the only BMW factory in North America and produces around 450,000 SUVs a year. Buick Rendezvous. Buick's first SUV went on sale in 2001 and survived for 6 years. Although it had a fairly short career, the Rendezvous was a successful model. Notably more so, in fact, that its corporate cousin the Pontiac Aztek which was built alongside the Rendezvous at the GM Ramos Arizpe factory in Mexico. Since both vehicles were designed well for their purpose, the reason for the difference in their fortunes is clear. The Rendezvous styling was quirky in some ways, but mostly conventional, while that of the Aztec version the bizarre. Cadillac Escalade. Cadillac entered the SUV market with a bang in 1998 when it put the original Escalade on sale. This and the 4 subsequent versions have been technically related to other cheap SUVs marketed by Chevrolet and GMC. Generations 2 to 5 have included the long-wheelbase Escalade ESV. ESV stands for Escalade Stretched Vehicle, but the full name is almost never used. The Escalade currently dominates the full-size luxury SUV market in the United States. The Lincoln Navigator, Infiniti QX80 and Lexus LX put together. Chevrolet Suburban. Chevrolet Suburban is the longest running nameplate in the global motor industry, having been introduced in 1935. The current 12th generation Suburban is definitely an SUV, and the original model definitely wasn't. Identifying the changeover point is tricky, but a case could be made for the model sold between 1960 and 1966. This generation had a lot of ground clearance and was available with 4-wheel drive. The same could be said of the previous model, but in today's terms, that one is more likely to be described as an MPV. The 60 Suburban was also sold as the GMC Carryall and could therefore also be called the first GMC SUV. Chrysler Pacifica. The Pacifica was an early example of a crossover SUV, a type of vehicle which was starting to become extremely popular worldwide. The appeal then as now was a combination of plenty of interior space, a high seating position and more or less car-like driving experience. However, despite the combined might of Chrysler and Daimler-Benz, which had joined forces in 1988, the Pacifica was not a great success. Launched in early 2003 for 2004 model year, it was discontinued before the end of 2007. Subscribe and like if you like the video.